There we go.
I can't see anybody, but I can hear you.
I can see Ian.
Is my vice chair there? That'd be great. Do you want to read the notice on the remote? Okay, on the hybrid. Thank you for agreeing to chair.
Maybe they will once.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it's live yet. Oh, there we go.
Now we can.
Okay. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order at 6:32, and I'll read the governor's order. So this is a hybrid meeting for the Golf Club Building Use Committee. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, this meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means in accordance with applicable law. This means the members of the public, as well as members of the public body, as well as members of the public, may access this meeting in person or via virtual means. In-person attendance will be at the location above, which is Memorial Hall at the Town Hall, and it is possible that all members of the public body may attend remotely, with in-person attendance and consisting of members of the public. This meeting may be accessed remotely via Westborough TV. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participate in the meeting may do so by in-person attendance or by accessing the meeting remotely, as noted above. Additionally, the meeting will broadcast live in real time via Verizon Channel 28 and Charter Channel 192, or via Westborough TV's online platform at westboroughTV.org and youtube.com/WestboroughTV. So this meeting will be live streamed and recorded by Westborough TV. Never read that before. So our first order.
I feel, Christy.
I know. So our first order of business, we have 2 members remote, and our first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from our June 7th meeting. So I know Jen had passed those out. Does anybody have any comments or sent them to us via email?
No, they look fine to me.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Okay, and we have to do a roll call vote, so we'll start here. If you say your last name and then...
White, yes.
Okay.
O'Day, yes.
O'Day, yes. Griffith, yes.
Ian?
Johnson, yes.
Weitzman, yes.
Okay, and Williams, yes. All right, thank you. And then our next item was to discuss and review the survey results. So I know Jen had sent that out to everyone, so we closed that, I think at 11:45 p.m. on June 30th. And so Jen, I don't know if you want to just kind of talk through what the survey results were. I know there were several comments that we'll probably want to discuss.
Yeah, I think we ended up having, I forget, 1,600 or just over 1,600.
A little over 1,500.
I'm sorry, yeah, that's right. I knew 1,600.
15 each.
Jen, could you talk closer to the microphone?
Oh, yep, sorry.
Please.
I've never been
No
not
problem.
loud enough. Yep. So we had just over 1,500 survey respondents. So I think that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I did send out the link to the graphs and everything. I felt like it was surprising. A lot of people that responded, it looked like weren't even golf members, but so that was interesting to me.
Yeah, the majority
Yeah.
actually were not golf.
Yeah,
Right.
but a majority though were Westborough residents, which
Yes.
made sense to me.
Yep.
It seemed to just for me, from what I looked through, it seemed pretty consistent. The results that we got, it seems like everyone wants some sort of food or restaurant option. People really liked the former restaurant that was there. Outside dining, I think, was a consistent message that I heard throughout the comments. Just trying to think of anything else.
I also thought a lot of people seemed interested in some sort of venue space, like a meeting room slash baby shower room,
Yeah, function room.
kind of
Correct.
function room. That's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought, I was surprised at how many people added that and included that, because, a function room, you think more of, a business kind of wants that, but to get a lot of responses from the general public, I thought was actually pretty
And,
interesting.
I think the message there was, they were looking for places where you could have probably a small to medium-sized functional area for, like you said, baby showers, bridal showers, or small get-togethers, holiday parties.
Mhm.
Sounded like a common theme. The
Yeah.
restaurant, kind of casual dining, outdoor dining, lots of views of the golf course. That all kind of resonated through as well. And then the other takeaway I had was, when we've been grappling with, like, do you build new or do you renovate? It was pretty split when you combine the two results. So, whether you put a new building in or if you were to renovate on the existing footprint or put a new, or renovate new, it was all like 50-50 in terms of the two. So, which is kind of what we thought it would come in
That
at.
is surprising. I wonder if it's just a lack of education on the state of the building that folks, there were some comments there about reusing materials. I mean, things like those.
Sustainability, yeah,
sustainability.
that came through on a few of the
Yeah.
comments. I think everyone's environmentally
Yeah.
astute.
Well, I think it also comes down to that this town the perception is the town loves to build things and loves to, get out there and spend money on new things. So I think that whatever that next committee comes up with, as far as building and how it's going to cost, I know we've talked about before trying to have something that, yes, it may cost millions and we may have to bond out, but it's going to be something that's covered by revenue because we do have a function room. We do have a restaurant that's actually paying good, lease, as well as hopefully, increasing other types of revenues from,
The golf side.
the golf side of things with, simulators and things like that. So I think that would
Yep.
help clear it up when people realize, okay, it's going to cost X million, but it's a revenue generator, not something that's just going to drain.
And it's year-round, revenue generator.
Mhm.
Yeah, agree with the points that you made.
And that was just I just pulled up the results because I knew there was something else, but I thought it was interesting. It seemed like it was, a majority of people wanted also a mix of both quick service and full service. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty, I know, again, for the next committee, but, kind of casual dining, it is a golf venue.
Right.
So somewhere where, families can come, and definitely, the interest was there for, the golf simulator, or it also in lieu of the fact we don't have a practice area, that came through. What was interesting to me on the golf side was, people talked about how tired the golf pro area was, how small it was, how it could be better utilized and better, more, it sounded like to me like more equipment in there or more choices,
The
Matt.
shop is dated.
Yeah, very.
I mean, I tried as much as I could this year to do different things and open it up and kind of change the flow, but it's a dated building. I mean, no question.
Yeah, some
It
are
probably
referred to as
hasn't
the
been-
1950s, that kind of
I mean, well, it
building.
was built in '95, and I don't think anything's ever been changed in there. So,
Yep.
you're talking 30-year-old, shelving and 30-year-old walls. I mean, it's dated, but size of the pro shop, I think, is fine for a 9-hole club. But yeah, everything can be updated. I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, a lot of people said to eliminate the showers in there, like they're never utilized. I mean, it was interesting that came through on some comments as well. Because we had talked about that there. We didn't think that they were utilized anyway, so that came through.
Yeah, I don't think I only know 2 people that have actually ever used the showers in
Yeah.
there.
But like snack bar, kind of quick
Terry-
food there.
Yeah, I was going to say, Terry, I thought it was interesting because I know Matt had talked about, exactly what you just said in terms of the use of the showers, lockers, even, whatever. But then there were some comments that said better showers and better lockers and better. So there's a little bit mixed in the what I call the freeform comments. But
Yeah.
I think that I
think-
listened to kind of Matt and what he's seen in his time there, which I kind of agree with. I've never seen anybody use it, not that I typically go into the locker room, but.
Yeah, Ian, I thought there were more comments to against it, like just use the space for more populous reasons and purposes rather than offering that, but.
No, I think those were more of those, but then there were others that, you know, maybe those are the two people that currently use the shower.
Most likely, that's what I was just gonna say, actually.
I think we've discussed before, though, that the actual footprint of the building is big enough that, number one, with a new basement, you know, in a place that's, you could put simulators downstairs, you could put some locker room space downstairs. If you wanted to, you know, expand what happened on the first floor, and even the second floor can be expanded to. So I think a lot of the things that came up, function space, the restaurant, maybe a little quick service or area for golf, that's more just for golfers to sit and eat and drink, not feeling like they have to go into, I don't want to call it a formal restaurant, but, you know, the non-golf area of the building. I think we've got the space, the footprint, to be able to do a tremendous amount.
Oh, I agree. I mean, like I think we talked about last time, it's over 7,000 square feet, that footprint. So, I mean, that's a decent, it's a big area.
Right.
So, I mean, and I guess I'm sure that comes into the next committee and how they
Right.
will formulate that. But there are a lot of options for that space.
Especially for the second story where it's not utilized.
Yeah, I mean, and even if it was just, you know, one in a basement, I mean, there's a lot of stuff we can do there that'll work.
Oh, I just see this nice balcony on that second floor.
Oh, yeah, we all see a lot of stuff there, but we want something that's, you know, nice and efficient and functional and
Yeah.
that looks good.
Nice little couple function rooms upstairs.
It was, I think it was this Cyprian Keys meeting where
Mm-hmm.
we had talked about how the sort of sweet spot with function room space is a smaller function room, not the larger sort of,
Right.
you know, function room. I think that we heard that theme recur in the survey results as well,
Yeah.
which is good, I think.
I thought that, well, I guess one thing I would want to say just for the public that's watching, I think that we've gotten a little bit of feedback, at least in our office about the survey, and I just want to just kind of remind everybody that our charge is not to rethink the entire property. It was to rethink the building, understanding that the building sits on a golf course. And so I think that, you know, people, I think there's been some confusion about kind of what that survey was targeted at. So I just kind of wanted to say that. I know everyone here knows that. I just wanted to say it. But kind of going back to all the things that people want, I agree. I think it was pretty split on whether we do a new building or keep the current building. But I think when you look at what everyone wants, it's just not possible. There seems to me that it's not possible within the current building. You know, even the layout, people loved the Civic. And this wasn't a comment within the survey, but you know, there's that whole space that wasn't really even used, just because of the layout of the building. People definitely want the outdoor space. I think we talked before about the value of putting that really on the back of the building, overlooking the golf course versus the way it is laid out now. So I do think that ultimately, if you're going towards what everyone's looking for, it probably is a new building.
Totally agree with you, Christy. That came out through a lot of the comments too, is expand, deck area, put it overlooking the golf course. You know, that's prime real estate right there. But, yeah, that came through in so many comments.
If we were discussing, like, you know, kind of what Christy's saying, we're not really determining what we want to do with the building, but I mean, it's hard to not imagine things and in your mind think of, well, let's switch the pro shop location to the main street and then have the golf course views be the prime real estate, and that's where the restaurant would be, just facing out. So, you know, it's just thinking in my mind after reading the results of the survey. I mean, I just think it would be nice to somehow take full advantage of the views, because right now the pro shop is kind of where the golf course is, but that's where the wall of the pro shop is, right? that's where the counter where people are checking out is. And gosh, if that could be real estate that could be used in a restaurant setting where people can take full advantage of the views, or maybe that's the meeting space. I think I'm getting ahead of the charge, but just thinking in my mind.
Well, also, I have to actually have a view of the first tee from
Right.
where I am, though. I have to be able to look at the golf shop at the course at all times, just to see where everybody is.
So we could put your office on the deck.
That works for me.
Or instead of going sideways,
Yeah.
it could go front to back, so then the front.
Yeah, as long as
where
I
your
can see the
office
first
is.
tee, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah, so you could go
Everything
front
else I
to
can
back.
figure out.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You need to have a view of the
Yeah,
first hole.
just so I can do starting and everything.
Yeah, otherwise it's chaos. But the bulk of it, like the restaurant part of it would be facing.
And then even the request or the interest in that sort of quick service, we talked about
Yep.
potentially there being like a window. We don't really have, it's not set up that way at this point.
Yeah, it's, no, not
But
at all.
but you can
But it
also
could
just
be.
do, quick, sandwiches that are pre-made in a
That's
refrigerated
true.
section.
So not a window, maybe.
And that's what not a window. In fact, I was at Sipping Keys 2 weeks ago, and they didn't even man the snack shot, because they said they just don't get the volume. This was during a tournament. So, in the comments we got was, quick service, right, or fast service. So it could be, some things that are already prepared by the restaurant,
Sure.
let's say, the catering arm of it, and then just, golfers can grab it before or after a round. Again, lots of options out there. But as we talk through this too, Christie, so you raised the point of, in our charges to determine whether, we renovate or we, build new, right? That's part of our charge. So,
I would say, I don't think that is.
Yeah, I don't think that, I don't
So-
think that, we're
It's
just,
just what is gonna be what is the
What's the
building gonna be
building used
used
for?
for?
Okay.
Well, so the first, I just pulled it up. So the first one says recommend whether or not the town should consider significant capital investment in the country club building, or whether it be renovation or construction. So
yeah.
identify expected use of the building, considering the needs of the golf course, pro shop, and maintenance barn, specifically address any level of food service desired. So I think we got good feedback on that.
Yeah.
And I think in addition to the survey, we also got good feedback from you guys, and then the people, or the person we heard from another golf shop, or golf course.
Right.
And then consider other recreational uses or community needs that may be addressed by the building.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things out of the survey that, I think someone said this before, that the function space was high, but meeting rooms, like town meeting rooms, was rated low on the survey scale from
Right.
folks that had answered that.
Community meeting space was low.
Community meeting space, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry.
no, go ahead, Felicia.
Go ahead.
Nope, you're on.
Sorry, I was just saying, based on the potential use, assuming cost neutrality, the rehabilitating existing space was almost 50%, whereas completely new build was 30%, and then new building on existing footprint was less than 30%. So I thought that was a little surprising that most people, assuming cost neutrality, wanted to rehabilitate the existing space.
Well, that was, so I looked at that graph a little bit differently, because we had rehabbing existing space, then we had new building on existing footprint, then completely new building. So if you add the two together, the new, because it's kind of like new or renovate, those were pretty much even. They were, like 55%. So
So you're basically combining the two.
yeah, because it's, new building, whether it's on existing footprint or new building, period. Because I think that goes back to the question of, do we do new or renovate? So I just looked at it as combine the two together.
I think one thing that we didn't take into account, and which I got feedback from people that I've seen around town who I've talked to about this, is actually, they have less of an issue with the cost and more of an issue with time. And there was a lot of feedback of why was
That's a
Civic
good
closed
point.
down, why are we doing this while Civic is still open? So I think that really a lot of people are keyed up on, we need to get this done, and we want to be back on the deck in the summer. and that sort of thing. So I think that that's something we didn't take into account in the survey. We were more thinking of
You're right.
time,
Absolutely.
and I'd be willing to bet that if you said, start to finish, and gave timeframes on all of those, people would just go with whatever was quickest.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to bet that that's coming out in the rehab it, because hopefully
That's a good point.
we can patch it up and get something back in and open.
Yeah, I've heard that quite a bit at the golf course too.
Yeah.
The time factor is, I agree 100% with you on that.
So I think that is helpful to hear, because I think that probably we should start our presentation, and I'm happy to do this with some education about why it happened the way it happened, because I do think that there is a lot of misunderstanding about what happened. The town certainly did not close Civic down, so I think that we just need to be clear about that.
Right.
Yeah, I tell everyone the
Yeah.
story because they
It's just
always
hard,
ask
'cause
me.
people don't, I mean, yeah.
I probably tell it 15 times a day.
Right.
Yeah.
So Christie, that's a really good point, to set the context behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like,
That's
what-
actually one of the things I was going to have put in the PowerPoint that I'm putting together. Is
Okay.
kind of like some bullet points of the
Yeah.
history of what happened, why it happened, and what we're supposed to be doing now.
Yeah.
Because I do think also some people think like we're going to have a design in the fall, and that
Yeah.
we're moving forward, and it's
Right.
just not the case.
Yes, I just want to jump in, it was said before, but just to reiterate, that one question that we're talking about, the rehab, that was the one that surprised me the most. And I don't know whether it's because we've walked through and seen what's in there, and as I look at that, and I am not an expert at all at construction, but I looked at it and said, I don't know how you rehab that space and the money you'd spend to, how well you could improve it versus new build. But I do think it's something that we need to address, because the survey, I mean, even if you take it the way Terry, you said, I mean, it really was 50-50 in that look. So, there were 50. And I think some of what I've heard too is there was some concern that I've heard from folks of, because of its location. I don't think that people may realize that building's been added on to over time, but they look at it, it fits in the neighborhood in terms of looking like a house and whatever, and I don't think they want a industrial looking building or something like that. They want the character that fits in with kind of the downtown feel. This is how I've heard it. So that could be coming into the rehab too, because people say just, cut the inside or keep the outside looking like it fits with the rest of the neighborhood.
Well, that could be part of our recommendation, I think, that about maintaining the character of the building, whether it be, a full gut renovation or a new building that maintains a similar character. I think that that's something that we should give as feedback to the next committee.
But being able to renovate it according to kind of we'll call it the business requirements of what we're
Right.
identifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still have the external image that, it's a house in downtown Westborough.
Right.
It might
You
not
know,
look exactly the same, but it would
Right, but it's
maintain the
still
character.
similar.
And then the meeting next time with the DPW, that should help us guide us as we think about, can we renovate it, or really should we just
Right.
raise it and build a new building? So that should help, right, in terms of.
Yeah, I think we just wanted their feedback on it, because they were the ones who commissioned the report,
Yeah.
and they've sat with the firm to go through it in detail. So I think we're going to give them it seems like we're all aligned in terms of thinking that we're talking about, a function room, outdoor space, a restaurant, and then room to support some additional golf functions, I
Yeah.
guess.
And then to Brian's point also, what could be done in terms of a timeline? What could be done quicker versus longer term?
Yeah.
If they can provide some sort of estimate. I
It-
don't know.
So Ian and Christie, maybe you guys can address this, and because I think we're all fielding the questions and the concerns, what would be so we make our recommendation, the select board decides, okay, now we're going to have, I'm assuming it would be a building and design committee would be the next step. What's a realistic timeline that this gets in front of
Town meeting.
town meeting? I got to think, you know, a bid process and a build process is, you know, years,
Yeah.
is my guess.
Yeah, so, I mean, I would say it's usually, I would say at least a year for the sort of initial, especially where we're going in October. I'm not sure that we would be able to get something on the March town meeting. I don't know how quickly that would happen. So I think that realistically, it's probably a year before we get some plans well, I guess it would be design. Yeah, I would say probably October of 2024 would probably be the first time. I think that that's a reasonable, if we do it sooner, that would be great, but I think that that's probably more reasonable than expecting March of 24.
And that's just for the actual construction or whatever ends up happening with the building, but not necessarily to talk through who takes over the space and manage the restaurant piece, the event space.
Yeah, that comes
will come
later.
Later
Yeah.
after the build.
Well, that's
right?
actually not a decision of town meeting.
Uh-huh.
Because the select board is authorized to lease the space.
Got it.
So it would be, we would go for design costs and then construction costs. So if you think sort of the most recent examples are like fails in the library, you know, going for those initial design costs and then coming back for construction costs is typically what we would do.
Could a possible option be also that a restaurant says, hey, I want to co-join with you, we'll just help design it, and we want to design the kitchen appropriately and this, and we'll do a cost share with you? Is that, I'm just throwing stuff out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, when the town got creative in terms of the lease last time for the capital investment into the building, which obviously is much less than what we're talking about right now, but, you know, there could be that partnership. You can't just pick your sort of your favorite restaurant. You'd have to go through a procurement process just to
Right.
pick that partner.
And that partner's going to have to be willing to go through the bureaucratic,
Right.
you know, it's got to go to town meeting, that happens twice a year, that sort of thing. So
Right.
they've got to be willing to invest a lot of time to wait to hopefully open.
But I do think that once you look at the fit up, you know, the cost of building the new building or renovating the building, whatever happened, probably building the new building, you know, you can put a floor in the lease when you're ready to rent out the restaurant. And I think to your point, I mean, you know, I've never built a restaurant, and we're certainly not gonna, you know, we would need someone who knows how to lay out a restaurant and set up a commercial kitchen, and, you know, we want to make a desirable restaurant space, obviously, so.
So it's
I
a
think that
lot.
was one of the comments we received, was use a architect or design firm that knows
Right.
specifically what we're looking, I mean, that specializes in this type of kind of structure, like the rehab or building. I don't know if that came from Cyprian or who, someone gave us that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was
Cyprian.
Dave.
Yeah, it was Dave.
Yeah.
You know what's sad, though, is you're talking through that timeline, like, you're probably seeing like another 2-3 years of
Yeah.
more degradation on that building by the time you actually start to, you know,
But if our recommendation is a knockdown, then
yeah, it'd be easier.
it'll come down.
Down by then.
So Christie, so October next year, hopefully, we're going for design costs. An approval to pay for a design cost.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then another 1 to 2 town meetings away from, hopefully, construction costs? Or is there any step in between?
No, I don't think so. It would be construction costs. I just don't know how quickly they would be able to do that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So Chris, sorry, just going back, so what goes to October, this October?
Our recommendation,
I mean, I think it was just a report. There's nothing to vote on at this point because we don't have a estimated cost.
I guess what I'm trying to think is, would we,
And
know what we're talking about here, from the survey, would we go with a recommendation and ask for design funds at this October?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking that by the time this committee presents our report, the warrant's almost closed, right? Because we're presenting the report at the end of September,
The 26th or something.
Yeah, that's,
and then the warrant would have to close. Actually, that may be the same night we close the warrant.
I think we're getting much closer to a point where we could present sooner. I mean, we've got the October, but as I looked at the calendar and what we've kind of spread ourselves out over August and September. Can we be in there at least one meeting before our original intent? If we can get something forward in a warrant to get design costs?
Let me just I can talk to Chris. I think that was part of the purpose of talking to the DPW, so I can talk to him myself a little bit sooner and kind of get his thoughts around how quickly we could do it. I mean, I put October on the table as sort of like the out, like the furthest out that we would go back for something, and it could be March. But it sounds like if we're aiming for this October, that we probably need to speed up the timeline.
Because we would have to.
Yeah, I guess, Christie, that helps. I mean, I would think that even if we don't make this October for design, I would want to try for us to push for March for design funds as opposed to waiting a year for design funds.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I was just thinking that you're putting together a whole other committee that's working through design with someone that they've gone through the procurement process to contract with. So, I mean, I can bring something back to the next meeting, and if you want to speed up that next meeting, we can in terms of timeline, now that we know that we'd likely be going for a new building. Yeah.
I know we're bringing Kristen, but should we bring, or do we need to bring Fred in as well from a community development director and
I don't know why we would bring Fred in, but he doesn't lead building projects, even though, he's the building commissioner, but he doesn't lead town building projects, so.
I was just thinking more
timeline and process and. That's not Fred's role. I mean, he just doesn't do that work, so I don't think that's gonna help us.
So we're trying to figure out is how do we get design work to be approved by the town by March to try to accelerate it?
Right.
So.
I think Ian's trying to figure out how to get them approved by October.
To get the budget to do the design work, right?
Yeah, right. That's the key, right, is get the town to approve the funds.
Right.
I missed, I guess, what your question is, sorry.
Yeah, we're just trying to get our grasp around what the process and all that. So
right.
We want to try and speed it up so in October we could have a vote to approve funds to hire a designer.
Right.
Right, okay.
Right, I understand.
No,
and
that's
I'm just saying that we would need to speed up our timeline because the warrant article wouldn't even be drafted by the time you presented your recommendation.
Yeah. So, but to Brian's point, I mean, outside of meeting the DPW, that's going to be the last bit of information we get. We should be able to formulate an output from here right after that, right? Is it?
And what will Chris be able to tell us?
Right.
The process from this going forward and what it takes.
Well, I think that Chris was going to weigh in as the director, as someone who's been more intimately connected to the report. So I guess what I'm saying is I need some time to lay out a timeline, but I do think that if you're going to go in October for money, we need to go to the select board earlier.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
We're ready.
would that be the
As a
August
committee,
meeting
do
or
we
July?
all,
Would
What's
that
that,
be the
Felicia?
July meeting that we'd probably have to
Sorry.
go to, or the August?
The board already had their July meeting, so
Oh.
August 1st and August 29th are the two meetings in August.
August.
And what are they in September?
I was just trying to see, do we all agree exactly on what we think should happen to the building? Do we all agree on the chart?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
Yeah.
clear after listening to
Do we
everybody.
all think it should be? Okay.
Well-
A restaurant with drive-through, or not drive-through, but like. Do we?
Drive-through golf.
Pick up the carts.
Golf carts.
No, drive-through. I just want to make sure that that somebody, that we all agreed on what should be there. And I guess, do we all agree whether it should be a rehab or a tear down completely? Or does it matter?
Well, I think that's why you wanted Chris to come in from DPW,
Right.
so he could kind of speak a little bit more on why the benefits of rehab or the benefits of tear down. I think that's why we wanted Chris to come in and talk about that,
Right.
to clear that whole thing up.
Yeah, that'd be the last bit of input we
Okay, so
get.
that's the one thing that we're just waiting on
Right,
to say what we would recommend. Okay.
yeah. Since he was intimately involved with the original assessment.
Right.
Right, the rehab assessment piece. I guess, Felicia, your point, maybe I'll try to summarize and folks can throw it in, and then if we all agree. I think what I heard and in this discussion, what we read was that basically coming out with something similar to what was there before. So basically, that the town wanted a restaurant that was open to the community, that was not a restaurant for the golfers. So it was basically a community restaurant that partnered with a functioning pro shop like we have today.
Yep.
Outdoor dining was essential. That was pretty clear. And function space, with incorporating function space into that was of importance as well. The ability to have maybe grab and go or some quick food, potentially beverage options for golfers was something that was highlighted as well. And what was the final piece I was going to say?
Like rehabbing the pro shop?
Yeah, I think that, again, a question about, I think the question we still have there, and we'll find out the next meeting, I can't summarize right now, is the one that was still in question, we talked a lot about tonight, was the rehab versus new build.
Right.
And I think,
Right.
hearing from Chris from DPW and then the survey, whatever. And Chris, I guess with that piece, which was, I know was in the survey, and why Fred was popping in my mind, and I apologize for that, there was, thinking the other pieces in there about ADA compliance and Fred being kind of our ADA officer, but I think because that was in the report, Chris heard it, I think that can be discussed there, because with rehab, there is, even exterior, there's work that would need to be done because of, if we do such a big rehab or building new, we're gonna have to come to all full compliance with ADA requirements too.
Yeah, absolutely.
But does that summarize, folks, what we think we heard there?
Yep.
Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
And maybe just add on there the point that Brian made around the timing, making it much more effective to do it quicker rather than stretching out 5 years or something.
Yeah.
People,
Yeah, I think-
the comments were, we hate seeing it idle, it was a vital part of the community. It provided a local option for a restaurant versus, all the chains that we have around here. And so it was a place where people would take their families.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we, as you're in these conversations, have to just be mindful that, if we think about other building projects, like they don't happen quickly. And so I know that's true for most building projects, not just town ones. So I think, if we're trying to set expectations, I think that we should expect to not have that building, not have that building up and running for the next golf season either. Like, I just think that that's realistic.
Yeah, set realistic.
Yeah, I don't see this anywhere we have a new golf building for this time next year.
Right.
I think my hope is, from the timing perspective, and I think we take this away, and I'm just pushing, I don't know whether October is viable. I think that's the takeaway, as you noted, to see if we accelerate, can it even be, are we even ready to go to town meeting to ask for funding? But if we don't do it this October, my hope would be that we don't go past March. I think that we should be able to hit March from a design, for design funding. And then hopefully we could try to move it quickly, that we could go to fall town meeting in 2024 for construction funding. I know that's tight, but that hopefully would be allowing us potentially to get it open for the summer of 2025. But I think that, for me, that's
Aggressive.
Come on, Christy, we can do it.
I think that sounds great, but it sounds really fast.
I would just hate to miss the opportunity to go to the fall town meeting to ask for design money over 3 weeks or 4 weeks that we, as a committee, could accelerate.
So I think that we should accelerate because I think we've all decided that we can because we're close. And then I think that, and so then we can potentially, see what we can do for the fall town meeting. I think March is definitely realistic. I just threw October out there. So I think March is definitely realistic. I think that, I just lost my train of thought. I think that the timing being of the essence is something that we should be strong on in our recommendation to the board. Because I think it's important for the board to hear that as they think about the timing, and if our deliverables are off cycle, does the board want to consider a special town meeting or something like that? I think that if we feel this strongly about it, which it seems that we do, we should just be clear to the board about the timing being of the essence in the presentation.
I think it's a great point, Christy. Sometimes for things like this, making a special town that focuses on one thing is a good thing too. So, but I guess that's a question back is, do folks feel that sense of urgency? Are others hearing that too, and or reading it in the survey results to try to move this forward as quickly as possible?
Question, so who can put together an estimate for what the design would cost? Because that's the missing.
That's what I was going to say about October. I mean, we would have to find a design firm, get a committee or a team together to have a preliminary design.
Right.
And I don't.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to
really
ask. Like, that's what we would have to do, right?
Right.
Like, we'd have to find it, and I just did this for a dog park, so and it's like, and that was tough. So I can't imagine what a building would be in a month and a half to get. And you just don't want to go to town meeting, and I'm not saying anyone is saying this, unprepared, just to get it done quickly and have it fail, because that's not a great look either. And I'm not suggesting that anyone has said that, but that was what was going off in my mind hearing an October town meeting, thinking, okay, we need to get a committee to design a building or have preliminary sketches, find a design firm to do it, get a good quote.
Right.
In time for a fall town meeting. I think March it should be
I think
doable,
we should be able to do it, but
that's just what I was
October's very
thinking. Yeah.
Right, and I think we're certainly not thinking we want to go unprepared, but.
No, and I
there's-
didn't mean to imply.
Yeah, no, but I think there's definitely 4 of us, maybe 5 of us, have no idea, like, you go to town meeting, like, how, and that's why I was kind of saying, what do you think the timeline is? Like, I didn't know are you just going for a nominal budget to then go out and hire
Right,
somebody?
right.
I didn't realize that we actually had to go find somebody, start the design process, and then,
Right, same.
I figured you would just, town's built enough buildings, we probably know what, no, but X dollars gets you started, and you get that funded, and then you get to the next phase.
Because we've done that before at town meeting. It's like, a nominal amount not to exceed. That would allow the wheels to start.
I mean, I can't think of
Yeah,
a time
I think let's
that we did
make
that with a building project, but go ahead.
There's always a
I
first.
don't know if we Yeah, I don't know if we have, and I do hear what Jen says and what I usually say, so, that, yeah, absolutely, we have to be fully prepared for the town meeting, because when you're not prepared for the town meeting, it's pretty much guaranteed that you'll fail.
Yeah.
And I think that's not what we want here too. So I think there's some takeaways. Christy, I know you mentioned it, and happy to work with you on that. Maybe part of this for the next meeting is try to come up with a realistic timeframes as opposed to what I try to do here, which is come up with it now.
The faster one. Yeah, I mean, I think that we just needed to all decide what we wanted to see. So now that we know that, we can come up with a time frame. I mean, I also think that we can be, this committee sort of has the luxury of just our recommendation kind of just being ideas, right? So we can talk up to the board about timing being of the essence and it being really important. We can make a recommendation. As part of our recommendation, we can say in the interim, we think that there's an interest to have, I don't know, what sort of interim food service, we're not gonna put a restaurant in there, but could there be interim food service? I know we tried food trucks, that's, that is what it is. I think that we can say, we want this building in the interim to provide some additional
Yeah, with
use.
a little bit more timing, like the planning, if I can take like the fall and winter to set it up for next year,
Yeah.
I could easily get that whole thing set up.
Yeah, and it's not everything,
No,
but it's something.
But it's something.
Well, I think the message was open the deck up, right?
I think someone even,
Summer,
Which we-
open the deck.
yeah, open the deck. I think someone even in the comments mentioned a food truck, something or other. So I think if that would be, have the deck open and a rotating list of food trucks.
Yeah,
for
the
the
problem
next
is,
fall. Not for permanent, just in the interim.
yeah, by the time we got a lot of that, so food trucks start booking in October
Yeah.
for the whole next summer. So there just weren't a lot available for us. I've got one coming in on Sunday. I have this truck scheduled, I think, 7 more times throughout the year. Every time they've come out, it's been raining, so it hasn't really been a good test yet.
It's been a very
But-
rainy summer.
Don't get me started. So hopefully, with some time, we can book that out for next summer if we need to, as long as we have enough time. But that can easily be done.
Yeah, but there's no,
There's no furnishings or anything?
yeah, no furnishings, no adult drinks.
Well,
it's-
we talked about the
Bring
deck,
your
and
own.
even with the food truck, like where, how are people getting to the deck, and, you can't,
Right.
It's not ideal.
It's not
not-
accessible.
Yeah,
Then you don't
there's
have a
no wheelchair
restroom.
access. There's
That came up when we talked about even just maybe using the deck.
Very important.
Oh, the
So,
bathrooms.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, very important.
Just to
Yeah.
go back to the design cost, or the firm sort of engaging with us to start the design process, is it possible, I'm totally ignorant to this process, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Could we start, once we make our recommendation, start to reach out to some of these firms and get, must have a ballpark of how much it costs them to engage on a project like this, so when we take it to the committee, we have a sense of cost, or do we work it in reverse?
We can start reaching out. Typically, design costs are based on the estimated construction cost. So it's a percentage of construction costs, so.
Oh, got it, okay.
I think I have the message that we need to move quickly and that we want more information, so I think I'll just plan on that for the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah, and Christy, I think you have a point that was valid too. I think for us as a committee, in our report, to highlight that what we've heard is that folks want this sooner than later. So when the board takes that into the points you brought before of, what can the board potentially do to help accelerate if necessary? I think the one piece that you highlighted, which absolutely could be done if the board decides to do it, would be to call an off-cycle special town meeting for purposes of moving things forward. So I think at the next meeting, we come back with timelines, and then as we put together our proposal to go to the full board, I do think we should highlight that, what we've heard is timing is important to folks, that the longer this goes, the worse it is in terms of the views of the community.
Which, you know, if you think about it, that really strikes to the importance of doing this. Back to the community, it really values it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So we're set to meet next on the
August 9th.
August 9th?
Chris is available, yep.
Yeah, with the DPW. So then we should be able to see if we can present to the select board by the 29th? Or back to the end of September? We have 2 meetings planned for September.
What are the September select board meetings?
26th, I think,
The
something like
12th
that.
and the 26th.
12th and 20th.
Could we do the 12th?
12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's tentatively say we're gonna go for the 12th right now, but when we get more information on the 9th in terms of timelines, whatever, I think that, if for some crazy reason we think that we can have an article to go on the fall town meeting warrant, we may wanna accelerate and shoot for the end of August meeting for the board, but my gut's telling me right now, I think moving out to September 12th is good, but I'm not sure that we'll have, that October is gonna be viable, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
we won't know that until we do a little bit more work.
I think understanding now that we actually have to have, you know, an actual concrete, well, maybe not concrete, but a number as far as a bid in or what have you. October's probably going to be tough, but
Let's not give up yet.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Great. So we talked about the next meeting date. So August 9th at 6:30.
Yep.
I think that we had talked about that being another hybrid meeting, just for folks who might be away. And then we'll invite Chris, which you've already invited him,
He's all
so
set.
that's great. So we'll give him the heads up on what our discussion was here. So does anybody have anything else? No?
move to adjourn?
Yep. Before you do, I just wanted to say that I know some people on the committee, this is new, and so I just really wanted to put a plug in for our Civic Leadership Academy, which is going to start in September. Applications are due July 28th, but we have Civic Leadership Academy. It's 9 weeks. You can come and hear from all different departments, and they actually have some really fun activities. It's every Wednesday for 9 weeks, and you can tell all your friends because we're pretty excited about it. So
No, it's great. Yeah, I saw that.
When does it
Nice.
start,
Cool.
Christy?
it starts September 13th, and it's Wednesdays from 6:30 to 8:30, so same time as these meetings. And it starts right after Labor Day and then ends just before Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving holiday. So graduation is, I think, November 14th. But there's going to be a mock town meeting and a town tour, and you get to try on firefighting gear, I think. And so
Do you get to put out fires?
I don't think so, but so anyway, I just wanted to mention that.
So this is just like for community members or?
Yep,
for-
Yep.
Okay.
yep. I can send you the
Yeah, it's really-
application.
It's really for community members that are, yeah, I have to say, it's really for community members that are interested in learning more about town government, and our hope is, and in fact, Shelby, who's on the select board, went to the first one. We've done one in the past, a number of years ago. Shelby went through it, and inspired her to get more involved and eventually run for select board. So it's really a way for folks that are interested in potentially doing more to have the chance to really see more of what goes on in town, meet the staff and the leaders around town, and hopefully decide that they want to become more involved in volunteering for the town.
Okay. And how do you sign up?
There's an application on the website, but I will email it to all of you. Happy to send that link.
Yeah, you're getting it out quite a bit out there.
Yeah,
I
very
might
excited.
be interested. You might.
It sounds like you are, so I'm expecting that. Anyway. Okay, so I'll take your motion now to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and roll call vote. So
White, yes.
O'Day, yes.
Little bit, yes.
Griffith, yes.
Parkland, yes.
Ian?
Johnson, yes.
Bison, yes.
Okay, Williams, yes. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christy, for chairing too. Appreciate it.
Bye.